Today we're here for a 30-minute class about neck and shoulder pain. This is going to be mostly a movement-based class, so we'll be running through most stretches and a little bit of strengthening related to your neck and shoulders, but we will spend some time at the end talking about ergonomics, as well as some time for some questions. So if you guys do have questions, you can always write them throughout the class in the chat, and we'll save some time at the end to get to those class questions. So if everyone can find a comfortable seat on their mat, we will get started. If you are just hopping in today, you need a space to lie down, and that can be a yoga mat or a beach towel or a blanket, and you need a small towel or a t-shirt to use as a prop. So once you have found a comfortable seat, allow yourself to just relax, and arms are going to fall down by your side. If you're uncomfortable sitting in a cross-legged position, you can always grab pillows or prop yourself up. You can even sit in a chair to do this exercise. And we're just going to rest here for a moment. So one of the first things I want to talk about today is breathing and the different dimensions that we can use to breathe. Our body can breathe up high into our shoulders. It can breathe down low, front to back in our bellies, and we can also breathe wide out to the side in our rib cage. Now, that breathing up high in our shoulders, that's sort of meant for moments where we're exerting ourselves at a high level. So you're out for a long run, or you're in a fearful situation. But for a lot of us, when we spend time kind of sitting in these slumpy postures, we end up breathing higher into our shoulders because the rest of our body's mechanisms to breathe are restricted. And so over time, that can lead to some overactivation of the muscles in our neck and around our chest. So what I'd like you guys to do today is just notice your breath right now. Notice if maybe it is high up in your shoulders. And as you start to tune your attention into where your breath is going, see if you can actually funnel your breath down, maybe lower into your belly, or you can even bring your hands wide to the sides of your rib cage and actually feel your rib cage open and close. And you may find that if this is the first time sort of thinking about your breath or trying to breathe into the sides of your ribs, that you're quite stiff. And so we will be doing quite a number of stretches today to help improve the mobility of your upper back and rib cage. But just take note of that for right now. We can make a lot of changes in our body by just noticing our patterns and making a conscious change. We'll take 2 more deep breaths here, even allowing the front of your belly to relax. And 1 more breath here, comfortably at your own pace. We're going to now start with some shoulder rolls, and I want you guys to exaggerate these shoulder rolls. So imagine that you're drawing a giant circle with both of your shoulders, hiking them up by your ears and letting them go. Now, you may feel some crunching and clicking when you do this. That's okay, as long as it's not painful. Just work within a gentle range of motion and see if each time you make those shoulder circles, they can get a tiny bit bigger. Now, this should just be your shoulders moving. So I'm going to show you from the side. Sometimes as we start these shoulder movements, we get a big movement from our back too. I want your back to be still, so it's truly just the shoulder joint. We're going to reverse the direction of those circles now, starting to circle forward. And chances are you feel maybe a little bit tighter in this direction. So our body is always going to pick the path of least resistance to move first. This direction may feel different. Just notice that. Allow your body to move naturally. We'll do 3 more here. Check back in with your breath. 2 more. And last time. And let your shoulders just relax. So already, hopefully you feel that your shoulders are maybe a little bit heavier. Maybe you even have some relaxation through your neck. Keep this in mind as one of the quickest, easiest things you can do if you only have 30 seconds throughout your day. You can do this sitting at your desk, in your chair, just those gentle shoulder rolls to activate the muscles and remind them how to let go. Now from here, we're going to start to engage some of the muscles that support our shoulders and our neck in the back of our spine. So if you can imagine, these are your shoulder blades on your back. We're gonna move the shoulder blades kind of in a circular pattern. So we're gonna first slide them both together, then both down, both out to the side, and both up. So this can be kind of funny in the beginning. I'm moving my hands, but I will show you guys from behind my shoulder blades. I'm moving them together, down, wide, and up. Together, down, wide, and lift. So if you could think of a plus sign, it's like you're using your shoulder blades to go trace along that plus sign. Now you might find that certain parts of that plus sign are much harder to activate or to get your muscles to move, and that's okay. We have different muscles that do each of those movements, so just notice it for now. Again, just like in our shoulder rolls, you also want to notice if as you're doing this, your spine is starting to help you. It's normal that our body wants to use a lot of muscles to help. Try and isolate this to just the spine, just the shoulder blades moving with the stillness of your spine. We're gonna try about 3 more there. And hopefully you can feel some small muscles in your back start to activate. We're gonna use them again later. Last time here. Very nice. Okay, so if everybody can grab your towel now, I'm gonna show you guys, we're gonna end up rolling your towel or t-shirt up into a little towel roll. So if you look at mine, I'm gonna get a little closer to the camera here. This is about 6 inches in length. It's not super thick, and it's gonna go right between my shoulder blades. So this is actually gonna lie right along your spine between your shoulder blades. So once you have your little towel roll, you're gonna lie down on your back so that that space between your shoulder blades is on top of the towel roll. And then you can let your head rest down on the floor. Now, a lot of times this extension with your legs flat can feel a little crummy on your lower back. So you're gonna just bend your knees, put your feet down flat. And then right away, go ahead and open up your arms out to the side. So our little towel roll here is pushing our chest up, so into a little bit of extension. This is the opposite position of what most of us spend many of our days sitting, in flexion. So right away, this can it can feel a little intense. You might already feel quite a big stretch. Now, if you're starting to get any tingly feelings in your fingertips, just bend your elbows a little bit in by your side. Now, if you're lying here and you don't feel a stretch at all, you want to think about pulling the front of your rib cage down towards the mat. That should increase the stretch. From there, gently walk your arms out until you feel a stretch across your chest. And you're just going to lie here. Just let your body sort of melt onto the mat. This is a passive stretch as compared to what we might do like standing for a quad stretch that's a little more active. This is totally passive. So we're letting gravity help us here to open up the front of our chest. So it takes a little bit longer. We're just gonna lie here for about a minute longer. I'm gonna come up to the screen and just double check on your form, but just let your body melt and rest like that. Now, if at any point the towel feels too intense, you can certainly do this stretch just resting down on the floor totally flat. The towel just gives you a little bit of extra bang for your buck. Everybody's form looks excellent here. Good. Now, I'm going to show you guys a little progression for this stretch. If it doesn't feel good for your body, please just stay as you are. But for those of you who want to try and add on, you're going to start to draw snow angels with your arms. So for those of you who have never drawn a snow angel before, that's sort of waving your arms wide out to the side from your hips all the way up overhead. And you want to try and keep your hands down on the mat for as long as you can. Now, you might find one of your shoulders is much more flexible than the other one, and that's okay. They don't have to move in symmetry here. As you continue opening and closing your arms, I think you'll find that you get a little bit more flexibility each time. Now, as your arms go overhead, it's natural for your rib cage to pop off the mat. You want to work by engaging your core muscles, pressing your spine down, and that should actually increase the stretch for you to hold your rib cage down as your arms reach overhead. We're going to try about 3 more like this. And 2 more. And last time, let the arms come down by your side. Now, gently roll to one side. You're going to take that towel roll that was just going up and down your spine and turn it 90 degrees. So now it is going to lie across your back. And it's about in the same spot, right in the middle of your shoulder blades. So you can reset your roll to go perpendicular to your spine and lie down so it's right about at the middle of your shoulder blades, and rest your head down. Now again, this might feel a little bit intense. If it does, you can get rid of the towel roll, but once again, we're opening our upper back into a little bit of extension. So from here, bring your hands behind your head and keep your elbows in your peripheral vision. So I'm kind of hugging my elbows by my ears. Slowly, I'm going to start to open and close my elbows, opening my arms up to the ceiling. So I'm going to show you guys in sitting just so you can see the movement is from here to here. So this is opening up a different angle of our chest. This is moving our shoulders into external rotation. Again, it's normal to have a difference from side to side. It's okay here to move, in an asymmetrical pattern. Just work within your comfortable range of motion. We're going to do 2 more like this. And last time, bring the elbows in. And once again, we're going to roll onto your side. Now you've got your handy dandy towel. You can place that down and use it as a pillow now for our next exercise. So this one is called book openings, and we're going to lie our head down onto the floor. Bend your knees in close towards your chest. This is an important step. This is what makes the stretch happen in our upper back and neck, not in our lower back. So bend those knees and nice and close towards your chest. You're going to take your top arm and reach it down towards the floor in front of you, and then reach it up and over to the floor behind you. Just like your top arm is a book, like you're opening the giant page of a book. Now, if this bothers your shoulder, you can just hold your hand onto your chest and rotate your body in the same pattern, just using your upper back. In truth, this exercise is really helping, and I'm going to come up so I can see your form. It's helping thoracic rotation, which is our upper back rotary motion, and that can take a lot of stress off your neck. Good. Kelsey, bend your knees in even a little bit closer. If you guys can feel, same for you, Reedy, if you can feel your knees lifting, they need to come in a little closer towards your chest. Good form there, guys. We're going to do 2 more on this side. And last time. Now, if you guys want to just roll over to your other side, you can do so. I'm just going to sit up and flip so that I can continue to see the camera and you can see me. And rest down. You're going to bend your knees in towards your chest. Reach your top arm out in front and reach up and over, rotating behind you. You can gently follow your hand with your eyes if that feels okay for your body, and just let your head rest down on the mat. You don't want to strain to hold your head up here. Again, if your shoulder bothers you, you can keep your hand on your chest and just gently open and close, keeping your hand across your body. I'm going to check on everybody's form here. I can get to some of the later pages. We've got so many participants. It's awesome. Good, guys. So Kevin, let your head rest down onto the floor. There you go. Good. Yeah. Very nice. Dylan, it looks like you've got a great friend here helping you stretch. That's wonderful. We'll do 2 more. And on your last time, gently press yourself up to a seated position. Fun here, so you can sit in any position that's comfortable, and that being said, you can even be sitting in a chair for this one. So just find a comfortable position, and we're going to use your towel or your t-shirt once again to stretch into the shoulders a little deeper. So this time you want to use the full length of your towel. So I'm going to hold my towel in the right hand and put it over my left shoulder. So my arms cross my body, my towel is now draping down my back. I'm gonna take my left hand, reach it behind my back and grab onto the towel. So you guys can see here that my palm on the left hand is facing away from my back. Once I have that position, I'm gonna use my right hand to pull on the towel to stretch my left hand, so you guys can see, up my back. Okay, so it's like a little pulley system here. Now you can sort of alternate pulling, or maybe it feels good to just hold this stretch. And you should feel the stretch lightly across the front of your left shoulder here. If you don't, open up your chest. Think of pulling your shoulder blades back like we did in class earlier, and that should help to deepen this stretch. This is a stretch for internal rotation. We did external rotation before. Now, one common mistake I'll see here is that as you're stretching your shoulder, your head starts to drift forward and your back starts to round. Just because we're stretching doesn't mean we can lose the rest of our body posture. So I want you guys to imagine like you are sitting up against a wall and you're staying tall through your body. And that's excellent. So go ahead and let go of that stretch here. We'll shake it out. We're going to do the second side. So now hold your towel in your left hand. You're going to cross it over your right shoulder. My right hand reaches behind my back and grabs onto the towel. If you have a hard time reaching behind your back at all, you may just be holding the bottom of the towel, and that's okay. So once you have a grip on the towel, play around with how comfortable you are pulling through the left arm to draw the right hand up your back. Now, I have very flexible shoulders. I don't expect you guys to have a tremendous range of motion here. Just work what's comfortable for your body. And once you find that good stretch, you're going to hold it, open up your shoulders, try and keep your head tall as though you're sitting right up against the back of a wall. And just breathe. Let the rest of your body relax. This can be kind of an intense stretch if it's something you have not practiced before. And again, this is for internal rotation of our shoulders. So we'll hold that for another deep breath here. And then go ahead and let it go. Awesome. So we're going to take that towel, toss it off to the side for now. Our next setup is going to be in an all-fours position. So if you have knee sensitivity and you want to use your towel or fold up your blanket a couple times, you can do that now. If you have any wrist sensitivity, I challenge you guys to try and stay up on your wrist if you can. A lot of times wrist sensitivity comes from weakness in our forearms. So see what you can do to build it up. I will give you a modification in just a moment to show you that you can set up this way also down on your forearms. So if everyone can set up on all fours here, we're going to start to move our shoulder blades a little bit. So I want you to imagine that spot right between your shoulder blades, and I just put a grape tomato right between that spot. I want you to try and draw your shoulder blades together like you're going to pinch that grape tomato and then push it off your back. So notice as I'm doing this movement, I'm not actually bending my elbows. I'm just dropping my shoulder blades together and pushing them apart. So you should feel some little muscles in the shoulder blade region start to activate here. And it's a small movement. We're talking a matter of inches. Just see if you can pull that grape tomato together and push it off your back. Now, a lot of times our neck wants to drop along with this movement. Try and keep the movement isolated to just your shoulder, extending the top of your head long so that your neck stays steady. We're going to do 3 more here. Last 2. Last time. Now settle somewhere right in the middle. So you know your 2 extremes of motion. Now we're somewhere right in the middle, and that's our neutral scapular position. So we're going to do a little exercise from here, and this is optional if you want to add on. You're going to shift your body weight to your right hand and reach your left arm in front of you. From here, you're going to pull your left elbow back by your side and reach it forward. Pull your left elbow back by your side and reach forward. As you do this, I want you to imagine like you've got, maybe you forgot your deodorant this morning. You want to pull your left armpit down, really pinching your arm in by your side. I'm going to show you guys from the front here. You want to also notice if you've lost that neutral scapular position on the right side. We'll do just 1 more here. Good. And then take a little rest. You can sit on up, roll out your wrists, take a breather. Those can be surprisingly challenging to hold your balance on one arm. And then we're going to set up and do the second side. So all 4s position again. Move the shoulder blades around a couple of times to find that neutral shoulder position. Notice if in doing that, you've now started to hike your shoulders like you're wearing them as earrings. Take them down away from your ears, get long through the top of your neck, and reach your right arm in front of you. Now pull the right elbow back by your side and reach it long. From this position, this is what it looks like I'm doing. So you're just doing this in the all 4s, pulling your elbow down, pushing it up, pulling your elbow down and pushing up. For those of you who are familiar with the lat pull down kind of exercise, this is actually the same movement, just in a different orientation. Check back in with your left shoulder here. We'll do 2 more. And last time. Now plant your right hand down. We're going to do a quick stretch here called thread the needle. So that's going to take our left arm up to the ceiling, and then we rotate our left hand underneath our right arm. We bend our right arm and we let our head and neck rest down. And we're just going to take a couple breaths here. And then open back up towards the ceiling. 1 more time, we thread that left arm underneath our right arm, let our head and shoulder rest down on the mat. And then come back up. We're going to set up for the second side. Right arm reaches up to the ceiling. Thread our right arm underneath our left arm. Rest your head and shoulder down. Just hold and breathe. I want to take a peek at everybody's form here. I know this one can be a little confusing. You guys look great. You can come up and try that one more time here. Big opening up to the ceiling. Use your exhale breath to slowly thread your hands through. Good. Everybody's form looks great here. All right. And then you guys can come back up to sitting. So just find a comfortable seat here. I want to talk a little bit about ergonomics for a moment. So I'm going to bring out my chair here. And one thing I want to say quickly is you may have noticed we did not do a lot of stretching, formal stretching for our neck today. And there's a reason for that. So our necks, they actually tend to be pretty flexible. And sometimes pain that we feel in our neck is actually due to a lack of mobility in other places of our body. Sometimes it's our shoulders, sometimes it's our upper back. And so when those regions are really stiff, our neck, which is flexible, overdoes it. It takes most of the load. It's getting too much work. So you can actually make your neck feel better by just improving mobility in the rest of our body. Sometimes really aggressive stretching for the neck can actually be more painful because the joints themselves are already so flexible and fluid. That's not always the case, but generally speaking, that's what we're dealing with when we think about postural issues related to the neck. So in terms of our work from home setups, I know most of us do not have the most ergonomic setups at home. Maybe you're working on a laptop all day or you're sitting on the couch. The best thing I can recommend for you guys is to get your screen height up to your eye level. So what that means is if I was sitting here, let me tip this up a little bit. If I was sitting here, I might have the best setup ever, but my computer screen is down here on my lap. So no matter what I'm doing, I'm gonna have to look at that screen and slump over to see it. Now, if I can get my computer screen up so that my eye height is right in line with the screen height, it's encouraging me to sit up because I wanna look at that screen, I wanna see it. And so it will kind of force you into holding better posture for your neck, looking straight ahead to just have your screen at eye height. Now, a lot of laptops don't allow you to really have the screen height high enough, but also be able to type. An external keyboard can be a really nice addition to your setup if you have that option, because you can then have your screen height at an appropriate level and not be typing up here. If you don't have that option, take breaks with your shoulders. Do a little bit of typing, bring your arms down, take a quick rest. I think the most important thing is to get your screen height up closer to that level. Now, if you feel like, okay, I put my monitor up at the highest setting and it's still not high enough, put some boxes or reams of printer paper underneath your computer monitor. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just get the monitor height up a little bit higher. And I know that that's a very quick overview about ergonomics. So if you guys have more specific questions about that or any of the stretches that we went over today, go ahead and write them in the chat. I'd love to answer them. And I hope that you guys took a little bit from this class today. You don't have to do all of these stretches all at once. Maybe you take one or two of them and you integrate them a couple times throughout your day. You can make a big change in how your neck feels by just taking a couple breaks. And that might be once every hour or two, you get up and move around, do a few of these stretches for maybe a minute or even just 30 seconds. So that little bit can make an impact throughout your day. So if you guys want to type in a question, you can go ahead and send it in the chat. I will try and get those answered, but thank you so much for joining. It was wonderful to see so many of you on here. Let's see. Okay, so I have, will these classes be ongoing? Yes. So you guys can check back in next week. If you enjoyed this class, I'd love to have you again. I also have a question about your wrist being weak and it hurts doing the stretch. Like I said, it's not uncommon to have sensitivity in the wrist. A lot of times it's just a matter of building up endurance to putting weight through your hands. So if it's super sensitive now, start on your forearms and then work up to putting more weight on your hands over time. Okay. So I have a question now. What causes knots between the shoulder blades? That's another great question. I hear that from almost everybody. So knots are usually caused by a combination of the muscle being overly stretched and a little bit weak. So let's say these muscles in our shoulder blades, when we sit like this, it's actually stretching the muscle all day long. And a muscle, if you can picture it like a piece of gum, when you stretch it out, it becomes really, really weak because the muscle itself is thin. It gets so stretched. And so then when you actually try and use the muscle to do a functional activity, it's weak. And so it develops knots to try and create sort of false stiffness for your body. So what you can do to manage that is a combination of some strengthening for those muscles, but also postural improvement to minimize the amount of stretch that they're getting all day. I have a lot of questions here. Are these exercises good for frozen shoulder? Yes, definitely. Frozen shoulder is a complicated situation, so you definitely want to be under the management of a physical therapist and an orthopedic doctor. But these exercises are definitely good. You may need to modify your range of motion. So that's a great question. These classes are going to be posted online, so if you want to go back and rewatch them and take down some of the exercises, you can do that. I don't formally have a handout, but we can probably work on something like that. How many repeats do you recommend for each set of movement? That's another great question. I think it varies a little bit. I would say for the things that are more stretching oriented, you want to do somewhere between the 30-second to 1-minute range. And you might find, you know, today you went out, you were walking, you were moving around a bunch, you're a little bit looser. Maybe you stick to more the 30-second range. If it's, you know, you were sitting at your desk for the last 12 hours, you're super stiff, you might need more like that 1-minute range. Everything that I gave you today is meant to help you feel good. There's really no limit to how much you can do. Just use it as you feel you need to use it to help manage your symptoms. All right. Another question, where should we be feeling the stretch when threading the needle? Mid-back or shoulder? Both. So that stretch is targeting specifically your mid-back, so your thoracic spine, the upper part of your back. But just by virtue of how you're moving your arm, you are likely to get a shoulder stretch along with that, so both. Is heat good after? Yes, you can certainly use heat. You can also use ice. The recommendations are, if your goal is simply to manage pain, you can use whatever feels better for you. If you have an acute injury, let's say an ankle sprain, or you were throwing something and you felt acutely like your shoulder really started to hurt, you want to tend more towards the ice. Now, if you're feeling sort of more chronic tension, muscle soreness, you would want to tend more towards heat. But you can actually use either of those.